How pissed do you think Schmoeville would be if I started my first show back with, "Hello, welcome to After Schmoe. My name is Ryan Snelling."
I don't know. You sound shitty to me.
I sound shitty? Coming from the guy who just had a nosebleed and had Kleenexes stuffed up his nose?
I did. You brought me a trash can, and I said, I don't need that. I'm putting them in my pocket.
It's like when at Seinfeld, when he puts
I've never
mutton,
seen that show.
He puts the mutton in his pockets.
Do you even know what mutton is?
Yeah, it's a
type of shoe.
No.
I know. It's a type of beef. Or lamb. Or something. What is mutton? I watched a Gordon Ramsay thing about it one time.
Why?
I don't know. I like Gordon Ramsay.
I thought Bourdain was your boy.
He is, but there was a time before Bourdain. And it had to do with Gordon Ramsay.
I can't remember a time before Bourdain.
You don't even really like Bourdain. Anytime we watch Bourdain, you want to move wherever he's talking about.
Because he brings out the best in
One
places.
time we watched Anthony Bourdain, and you wanted to move to Houston immediately. And all they did was show a cool Indian
I've wanted to live in
supermarket.
Texas, not necessarily Houston. I mean, I would love to live somewhere that had an NBA team, for one. But
what kind of criteria is that? That's the world's shittiest criteria. It's somewhere that must have an NBA team. We basically have an NBA team here in Kentucky. And they're called the Kentucky Wildcats.
Ask me how many times I've been to a UK game in the past 5 years.
First of all, they're incredibly difficult to go to. Way harder to go to than a Wake Forest
game. The NBA team. There'd be cheaper tickets, and maybe not.
What kind of conversation is this? Welcome to the After Schmoe.
Hey, that's my line.
Whatever. They don't know me.
It feels so good to say, welcome to After Schmoe, the official Schmoes Know live show, after show, recap show. I feel like I've already said after show by the time I get to that. But it's really just the title.
Didn't you just leave the After Schmoe like 2 weeks ago?
Who is that voice? I don't know who that voice is. I have no idea.
I don't know. Who is he?
All that and more. This is the worst opening. What? This is awful.
What's up, guys?
Did we just start off the FAQ for the podcast?
I guess so. I don't know. This is Loopy. You lit a candle.
This is I did light a candle to set the mood because this is a celebration. This is an anointing for you, Jay.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
co-host.
You know what? I'm excited to be here. As soon as this was announced, I decided to take to the Schmoeville Facebook group and post how excited I was to be providing entertainment for you guys.
Did you post? I didn't see you post.
You didn't see that?
No,
it was a very heart. I even used the heart emoji.
I saw you comment on my post. I didn't know that you posted.
No.
You posted.
First of all, you were asleep during the live show.
You're right. I was asleep.
You were asleep.
You texted me asking me if I watched, and I said no.
I was awake. I sent out the tweet from the Sight and Sound Twitter page that got retweeted and all that stuff. That was really cool. But yeah, I went to the Schmoeville Facebook group. I made a post saying how excited I was to provide entertainment for what I consider to be one of the best fan groups around. I mean, this is an incredible community, and I'm super excited to be providing commentary for you guys.
That's not what you say to me privately.
What do I say to you privately?
It's a joke. Calm down.
This is
your nose is gonna start bleeding again if you get upset.
Maybe I'm like 11. Maybe from
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Let's address the FAQ. Let's address the elephant in the room. Why am I here? Why are you here? Look, some of you might not even know. I got some people asking about this on Facebook today. I actually started the Schmoeville podcast with Paul Wolf. I think it was like a year ago this week, actually, because yesterday in my time hop, I saw my tweet to Kristian introducing myself and asking him to hit me up about hosting the show.
Daddy Harloff?
Isn't that nuts?
You sent a tweet to Daddy Harloff?
Yeah, like a little fanboy. Oh, it wasn't my first. I tried to get to him many times before that. But yeah, I thought that was nuts that it was like a week to the day that I first addressed starting this podcast.
And now we're starting new, starting fresh.
We are.
Brand new venture.
So I guess the first thing I want to address is that I'm officially back, and Jay, you are my new co-host, as we've already talked about. This show will continue to be called After Schmoe, because I think it's just a better title. I mean, I came up with Schmoeville Podcast, and then that sort of changed into Schmoeville After Show, but that didn't really even take hold. People at Collider still called it Schmoeville Podcast. Kristian will probably still call it that.
I'll probably still reference it just as a mistake.
It was its own show. It's a separate show, so you can absolutely reference it as Schmoeville Podcast.
And I don't think when you started it, you ever really imagined that it would become what it is today. So, yeah, look, everything needs a rebranding. I like rebranding. That's kind of what my day job is to a certain extent. So.
Yeah, we'll get to you. Okay. I'm gonna.
All right.
So, but yeah, I'm back, guys, and I'm thrilled to death. This change sort of already took hold with Brian a few weeks back, but the show will continue to just be about the Schmoes Know live show. That was something that I was hoping to transition towards even before I left, so it made it easier for me to come back. I mean, it was just it was too much making sure I had to watch all the Collider content and the Schmoedown to stay caught up, when all along this started as a show that was just about some fans talking about the Schmoes. That's all I ever wanted the show to be, so we're going back to that point. I should rephrase. Brian took it back to that point, and I am furthering that mission to do that. So, very excited to do that. This show will come out on Fridays. That is a fact. It's not in question. I'm not going to say that it's due out on Friday. It's coming out on Friday. And it's not ever going to show up on a Saturday or Sunday or Monday. It's Friday.
One of the things that we pride ourselves on is being efficient podcasters, because we do a lot of podcasting. In fact, we just did a podcast before we did this podcast.
Yeah.
And we're pretty good at cranking them out. Daddy Harloff laid down the gauntlet. You questioned it. You didn't know if we could turn it around. And I kind of gave you a little pep talk. And I think we can do it. I think we're going to put it out every single Friday.
Did you pep talk them?
I pep talked you.
Oh, you pep talked me.
Maybe I pretty much just said, we can do it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we're pretty good at that. That's another advantage that you and I have, is that we're actually doing this together in person. There's not going to be a whole lot of editing involved. It's just going to be smooth sailing for us. I think that's what people, the fans out there, can expect, that this will be done in a timely manner, but still be produced at the high level of quality that you guys expect. And we pride ourselves doing that. And the two other podcasts that we do aside from this, we pride ourselves on that. So that's a satisfaction guaranteed right there. I don't know. What else do I have to address? I talked about the title. I talked about when it's coming out. Talked about what we cover.
Just be patient with us. I mean, we're transitioning into this new thing. We're sort of going to take the next few weeks, I think, to sort of get in our groove before we... there's not going to be a whole lot of segments. We're here to just kind of talk about the Schmoes, celebrate them, celebrate our thoughts on things, so to speak, and just have a good time. We're just going to laugh and have a great time. This is sort of like it's an after show. That's what it's always intended to be. This isn't like an additional dive deep commentary where we're going to dissect every single thing. We're just going to have fun with this thing. So you guys have fun with us.
Jaye Williams, you have the floor. I want you to tell people who you are. You are actually a guest on an old episode of the Schmoeville podcast. I kind of forgot all about that, to be totally honest.
I mean, look, it's I went into this thing. If you would have asked me when I was on that podcast, or even a year ago today, a year ago when you started this thing, if I would ever be on this thing as a regular co-host, I probably would have said there's no chance in hell. But Ryan and I, we do a podcast. This was before Sight and Sound even existed. At one point in time, you used to ask me to podcast with you on a regular basis, and I said there was no chance in hell. And now we have like 5 podcasts together.
Thank you for admitting that publicly. There was a time when you said that there was no way we could ever do a project together, and we now host 3 podcasts. So yet again,
I've always said
you always should have trusted me, just like Kristian.
I've always said we can work alongside each other, but not with each other.
I don't even know what that means. We have
weird,
3 podcasts.
It's some weird doublespeak. I have no idea.
We have 3 podcasts alongside each other, but not with each other. Okay, got it, Jay.
Allegedly. Anyways, the point is, look, we podcast together. We've been doing it for a while in general, and we have this show called Sight and Sound, which we'll talk more about that in a minute, but we talk about music, movies, and television there. Movies hasn't always been my niche, so to speak. That's always been your thing, but because we started the show where we're covering all 3 of those pop culture topics, I needed something to sort of study and something to sort of give me news, and you had turned me on to not just the Schmoes, but the Collider content, and I found myself going back to it constantly for news and for information.
And now you watch it even more than I do.
And like so many people, I absolutely fell in love with the characters on this thing. I mean, I listen to it all the time. I actively went out of my way to go back and listen to every single Schmoes Know live show, even back in the Toad Hop days, even back in Kristian's baby room days with the Rocky poster. I went back and decided to do that without anybody asking me to do it, just because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So it is a complete honor on behalf of Kristian Harloff, on behalf of you, on behalf of the entire Schmoeville community to have me here on this platform. So I am...
And Ellis, come on. Ellis gave you a shout on the live
absolutely.
show.
And Ellis, I met Ellis. We met Ellis.
You did meet Ellis.
I didn't even know who he was. I asked him what his favorite band was, and he told me Van Halen. And
well, if you listen to Collider content, he would have told you that
now I know.
a million times a week anyway.
Now I know. I'm excited to be doing this with you guys. I'm not here to do anything crazy other than just to entertain you. So
yeah. And that's something, the fact that you're going back and listening to all the old shows, that's something you're going to offer for this show. I talked about it on the Facebook group today that because you're going back and playing all the old Toad Hop episodes and eventually going to catch up to present day, we're going to take certain clips of those old shows, similar to how Cobster presents them in his breaks, but we're actually going to cherry pick from what you select, Jay, every week, and then we're going to talk about said clip and actually sort of discuss and expand on it. So that's something that we're going to implement into the show, because there has to be some kind of history lesson inserted, and because Jay's newer than me. I mean, I was the new guy, quote unquote, on a separate show that we used to do, but now it's you, and somehow I've become knowledgeable enough to host the show and take that mantle. But
we teased some stuff online, some big news that was going to drop. Should we go ahead and talk about that right now?
I do. This is the time, and this will sort of complete our housekeeping, our intro.
As if the new show wasn't big enough to drop.
This is big. What we're already doing right this second is big. The fact that we're doing After Schmoe this way.
So you left Schmoeville in its previous state because we had a lot of stuff going on. One was our show Let's Talk Legion that Kristian sort of hooked us up with.
He did. And which is hilarious because Legion literally took the place of the Schmoes Know Show. It comes on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, exactly when the live show comes on. So I found it hilarious and ironic that one literally took over the other.
Yeah, and that's coming to an end here soon. So some time sort of freed itself up, but you were also pursuing our other podcast, our baby Sight and Sound. And we're here to announce that there was a lot of people that followed you over. People like Luke Jaggers, Kevin Marks,
Matt Whitehurst,
who, I mean, those guys are...
Recently, Brad Donovan, he just let me know that he's listening to it.
Absolutely. And look, if that's something that you guys haven't checked out, you guys are going to be seeing it a lot. You guys are going to be hearing Ryan and Jay a lot, because we're here to announce that Sight and Sound Weekly will officially be distributed on SK Plus YouTube channel. You can still go to our iTunes feed, to our podcast feed, and get all the additional content. We put out a ton of additional content on our podcast feed, but the show will exclusively be distributed on the SK Plus YouTube channel. So now Sight and Sound is also a part of the Schmoes family.
Exactly. So unfortunately for you guys, back-to-back doses of Jay and Ryan Snelling on the Schmoe Plus channel.
It's a different type of podcast too, because look, we know
it's completely different than anything else that's on Schmoe Plus right now.
Absolutely. You guys go to Collider all the time. You guys go to Schmoe all the time for your movie content. Like I said before, it's covering pop culture as a whole, music, movies, and television. We do longer episodes from time to time. It's often said that Collider is the ESPN, the sports center of movies. Consider us sort of the sports talk radio of not just movies, but pop culture in general. We have a great time over there.
Yeah. And I get asked a lot, hey, do you have anywhere that you actually talk about movies? Because we're not going to be doing that on this show. And I always direct them to Sight and Sound. So I hope that you guys enjoy this content. I'm very happy with the fact that we get to distribute it in this way.
That was a typical Schmoeville comment, like, hey, I wish you guys could talk more about...
Exactly.
And
sure,
you guys have that now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very passionate about music, movies, and television. And I don't know. I hope people like it. Happy
More Life Eve, by the way.
Yeah.
I just have to wish everybody that Drake's new album comes out. You can hear more about that on Sight and Sound. Anyways,
I'm sure Cobster will appreciate that.
Okay, here, I'm going to throw this out there. One of the things that I want to do in After Schmoe is I want to involve you guys more. Eventually, I want to get to a point where maybe we do like a mailbag sort of thing with some of you guys every now and then, but I want to involve you guys right now. If you guys want to start making some memes, I want to see an After Schmoe related meme. And this is your assignment.
Scared.
I'm
so scared of what you're about to suggest because we did not go over this.
I know. I need After Schmoe memes that are based around Drake. I need like somebody to take some pictures of Drake, something that we say on this podcast. You can involve people like
so you want
a Cougar reference or a Brett reference, whatever you want, but it's got to be themed around Drake.
So you want them to be punny with like a title of a Drake song, but involve Schmoe?
It could just be a picture of Drake. I have no idea. Get creative. It's your guys' job. And if you do
I think the idea is horrible.
Whatever. We'll see what happens. It's our first show. If you do something funny, I don't know. I'll figure something out.
If you guys have any history with the show, you realize that I'm a skeptic. And next week, I will be talking about the great Drake memes. That's how this goes.
Okay.
I will be next week.
If this is an absolute failure,
I will
celebrate it.
I will doubt it now, but then I will get excited at the quality memes that we get next week.
If this is an absolute failure, we can talk forever about how Jay tried to start a Drake meme thing on the episode.
I'm going to get a text from Kristian saying, what the hell was that? They're going to take over the page. It's going to be the shittiest thing in Schmoeville history.
Anyways, let's talk about the live show.
Yeah, we need to talk about the live show now. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to address us on Facebook. We're both in the Facebook group. Jaye Williams. Jaye is spelled with an E.
That's me, J to the A to the Y to the E. My mom trolled me fresh from the womb by putting an E at the end of my name, making it difficult for people to find me.
Yes.
It's both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I'm not even really directing that at the Facebook group. I'm directing that more so to Kristian because he always forgets the E in your name. But yes, Jaye Williams, of course, I am on the Facebook group, and you can always tweet at us. Did you say that was your Twitter too? Your Twitter's just your name.
Yeah, Jaye Williams, Jaye. It's the same for Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow me and see pictures of my dog.
And my Twitter is still What Up Snell. I cannot wait to record an After Schmoe at your house so we can get Dolly and Indy on the podcast.
For those that, a lot of people don't know, we actually recorded a trial episode that only a handful of people have heard, and I don't know if they interrupted or not, but regardless, I said that they were the Brett Sheridan of the After Schmoe space because they were the only thing that could sort of take it off the rails in a good way. In a good way. And
that was referencing last week's show, not the most recent show. Yeah. Just so everyone knows.
Yeah, when I was putting together the potential thumbnail, I realized this week that you could have had Brett on back-to-back thumbnails because he's. In fact, can we transition into this?
I think we're about to. Yeah.
Okay,
that intro was a little spent, but yeah.
Are you ready for a rant?
Oh, already?
Already.
I'm having flashbacks.
It's not a bad rant. It's not a bad rant. I swear to you, it's not a bad rant.
I'm shell shocked.
I am
a rant. Man, I didn't even get to preview. I didn't even get to talk about who's hosting the show.
Do you want to do that?
It's already about. I guess it depends on what your rant's about. Do I need to intro it first?
Go ahead and intro.
We're talking about Schmoes Know Live Show number 274, Beauty and the Beast preview, and Josh McDermitt of The Walking Dead. And that's all I got. Kristian did an Arnold Schwarzenegger intro.
Big fan of his.
You like that? I love his impressions.
Jason Statham?
This is Jason Statham. I've got a job to do.
Go to tpublic.com.
I love impressions. I'm horrible at them, so I love that Kristian is so good and can do so many.
Oh, you know who had the worst impression of the night?
People are already tired of this. People are posting, enough with the Arnold. It's played out.
Who had the worst impression of the night? It was... Did you hear Mukuga trying to do Stallone?
Oh. Oh.
His way to do it was just to talk out of the side of his mouth. It was great.
Also, Mukuga, his impression wasn't of Ken. It was of like just a cliche radio disc jockey.
Like a strip club announcer.
Yeah. Like
he's heard plenty of those.
I know what he was going for, but it didn't sound like Ken. And people were talking about how it sounded like Ken. I just thought it was funny.
Stop nitpicking. You're doing it already.
Oh God. Where's my mind, Jay?
Well, okay. So we talked about my rant a little bit. You have no idea what I'm about to go into.
I think it was more of an observation than a nitpick.
Okay, here's my rant. I am just the biggest fan of Brett Sheridan. I love...
Are we already going there?
I just want to say this. I love Brett Sheridan, and this is sort of a response to last week's episode and this one. I just have to say something because I almost hinted at something I was going to drop. Brett has never competed in the Schmoedown, to my knowledge. Is that correct?
Correct.
I don't think he has a nickname, but I am just such a big fan of Brett Sheridan. Brett is the best there was, the best there is, the best there ever will be. The man, the myth, the legend, Brett, the Schmoe Stopper Sheridan. That is his new nickname. The Schmoe Stopper. How do you feel about that nickname?
That wasn't a rant. You just...
Oh, wasn't done.
Oh, okay. Well, I like the name.
Okay.
I do like the name, but there's no way in hell he could compete in the Schmoedown.
That's fine.
And I'm saying that because I know that he knows that.
I have an even better theory. I think we can all say that maybe he doesn't have the best movie trivia knowledge.
We should do a special Schmoedown.
I've got it figured out. You ready? Brett Sheridan versus Finstock for the world's... I don't know what... Do you remember... You watched WWF back in the day, right?
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember when they presented Mick Foley with the fake hardcore title that was like a broken...
No, I don't remember that.
It was like a broken heavyweight championship that was like...
I don't remember that.
Taped together with duct tape. That is a title you can present to Finstock or Brett.
I think, unfortunately, Finstock would beat him. But that would be something I would love to see, though.
You're not giving him a chance.
I'm not giving him shit. His whole thing on the show is based on the fact he needs to get caught up in the movie landscape. If I went up against Brett, I guarantee he'd destroy me.
Okay.
So I'm not acting like he's like the worst there ever was, because you just made it apparent that he's the best there ever was.
He's the Schmoe Stopper.
I'm only saying that because I think that he already knows that. That's why he's in the position that he's in.
My
Are
rant,
you going to call that a nitpick too?
My rant basically had to do with the fact that like people get frustrated that Brett sort of takes things off track. He sort of goes off the rails a little bit. But my whole thing with that is like, what did you think you were signing up for? The show opens with Kristian doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. The show... There is a bet with Mark Ellis where one of them will have to wear like the allegedly the world's shittiest Predator costume.
Outfit, yeah.
Like what is it about Brett doing his reviews, maybe drunk, that is the breaking point for you?
Okay, it's not even about that. It's about the fact, and I've talked about this on previous episodes, in defense of Brett Sheridan, they're watching a movie review channel called Schmoes Know.
Okay.
And they started this brand, Kristian and Mark. If you go back to their old videos, I think their very first movie review was W. If you go back to their old videos in the old days of YouTube, they have in parentheses, funny movie review.
Yeah.
And it's funny just because it's a little more amateur than what there obviously are now. But they had that in mind, that they were going to be silly and make jokes and bring out their comedic chops to do these reviews. They called themselves Schmoes Know. And when you're at this point, and because Kristian and Mark have, risen to this other level, Brett Sheridan embodies what a schmo is.
100%.
And the fact that's what I don't get. Like
I don't get the ass clownery that just says this one guy, he's bringing the show. What is he bringing down? It's supposed to be a fun show.
Because if it's not him,
chill out.
If it's not him, it's Makuga making horrible puns,
and that's fine.
It's you know,
is it
Ellis,
the RB3 cam? I mean, where do we draw the line? It's fine. It's fine. Just chill out. Have a good time. This is supposed to be the show where everybody has a beer. And by the way, I had no idea that Pacifico came in cans. My God.
I have never even heard of that beer.
Pacifico?
Yeah,
We've had it at Taco Place numerous times.
I have not had it at Taco Place.
Pacifico is like the Mexican Budweiser.
I have not had it at Taco Place.
Not to be confused with Tecate or Dos Equis.
Tecate I've had, and Dos Equis I love.
Okay, sorry, my rant's over. In fact, I might have exhausted myself.
I did like that rant. And it sort of goes hand in hand with the culture that I don't understand. Is the need to have to comment on everything. Like, people are going to say, well, you host a podcast and you talk about this stuff. Well, that's a little bit different because...
Is there such thing as a Schmoes snob? Is there a Schmoes snob?
Yes.
Okay, be careful where you go. So, okay. Don't be a Schmoes snob. Just let's have a good time, guys.
Yeah, let's have a good time. Okay, let's go back to who's on the main table.
Sorry. Did I just derail the podcast?
Was
that the dog or the Brett Sheridan?
You did Dolly and Indy's work. So we had Mark Ellis and Brett Sheridan, of course. Josh Makuga, who I feel like I haven't seen in forever, and that might be because I took a few weeks off of the live show.
Was this like his first time on the main table?
No.
Hang on. Was it the first time on the main table for an extended period of time since the couch was brought in?
Maybe.
I was just so used to him about to fall asleep on the couch.
He's more of the couch potato ever since that came back. Absolutely.
I thought he did a good job.
Well, let's talk about Joelle Monique because I think this is the second time I have seen her on the show. I think this is her third or fourth appearance in total. I think she's great.
I do too.
And we've had several conversations about how that fourth person is usually not like a consistent crew member. That's the one that kind of goes in rotation.
Last week it was Perry.
Yeah, and Perry's becoming more frequent, right? So I think she's fine. But there are several examples. The way Emma came in the first few weeks, I always get afraid that person gets overlooked and overshadowed. And I'm not saying they do it on purpose. I just think it's kind of natural. The fact that Ken Knapsack's on the other end, they're involved in some of their inside jokes. They know each other more, obviously. And I just get worried for that fourth chair, and I didn't feel that this week. I thought there was a massive improvement, and but I knew from the first get-go when Joelle came on to talk about, I think her first appearance was the Oscars.
I believe so. Yeah, I watched that episode.
Talking about the Oscar predictions. I think she's great, and I can see why they're consistently bringing her from now on. And obviously she just had her tag match. Yeah. With Emma Fyffe. Her and Emma teamed up this past Tuesday. So I think she's a great addition to the show.
I agree. I mean, look, you kind of need that sort of bubbly personality to cut through.
Bubbly. That's what it is. Bubbly.
Yeah, and it's just a much more lighthearted approach. Not like everybody's deathly serious. I mean, we're not watching like a Christopher Nolan film here. It's just like everything sort of has this really cutting edge. Everybody's sort of at each other's throats, like in terms of sort of picking at each other, you know what I mean? Like kind of everybody's making fun of each other in a good way, of course. And it's just nice to sort of bring that really bubbly, lighthearted, colorful sort of idea. And I really like her approach to the show.
Absolutely.
And definitely. She didn't miss a beat. You're right. She didn't. She didn't miss a beat at all.
And she was really funny on the Walking Dead thing because you could tell that she was totally fangirling out.
Yeah.
With Josh McDermitt there. I feel like she had a million questions to ask him, but she was being reserved.
I love the question that she asked, too.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever touched Lucille? Which neither of us are Walking Dead viewers. And the funny thing about that, when she asked that question, I thought it was an Arrested Development reference. I was like, has he ever touched Lucille Bluth?
I couldn't remember what Lucille was.
I couldn't either.
I really couldn't.
Sorry, Kevin Marks. Didn't you have like an all-out argument with him one day?
No, it wasn't an argument. I mean, we had a discussion.
How dare you go after Kevin like that?
Kevin's great.
I agree. He's a contributor to Let's Talk Legion.
Definitely. the fact that Riley had couch on the wine. For one, I feel like I haven't seen Riley in forever either.
Agreed.
That might be my fault, but it was great to see him drinking a glass of wine on the couch.
I love the elegance of all the people.
Yeah.
If you would have said who would have been the most elegant of the crew that night, would your money have been on Riley?
I might have gone. Well, maybe not. I was gonna say I might have gone Ken.
Right, I agree.
But then again, Ken.
He's a Capri Sun guy.
I was gonna say it's Capri Sun. So I don't know.
It's not.
But Riley's got the classy hair. Maybe that's
Definitely not Makuga.
Right. Makuga is slamming beers. He's the wild man. Come on.
Who knew that Makuga was so knowledgeable of his alcohol?
I did.
You knew that?
Yeah.
I mean, my God, he was just.
He's had plenty of opportunities to show those colors over the years.
It was sort of like a Rain Man moment. Like you know that scene. What movie is it when Will Ferrell just sort of goes. He like sort of goes dark for a second. He just rattles off all this information. Wasn't that Old School?
Yeah.
Remember that scene? That was sort of what it was like. I didn't know he had it in his repertoire.
Well, we're going to talk about that moment in the What Did We Learn segment.
Okay.
I want to talk about the fact that drinking played a huge part in last week's show, and it's playing a role in this week's show. Of course, we know that they've been drinking. There's a history of them drinking on the show. That's not what I really want to discuss, but Copster was quoted as saying, I think we need to drink more on the show, and I found that interesting that was piggybacking off of the thing that everyone apparently had a problem with Brett. And we even talked about it on...
or was that just what dominated the conversation?
Okay, well, you could argue that's him focusing on the negative comments. But, I mean, we even talked about it on our trial episode that no one heard, except Kristian played it 12 times, is that... we were wondering if Brett was drunk or high, and this should be how he conducts himself on the live show, and I think I've nailed it. I think I know exactly what I like about it. Brett had it right this week when he said he was waiting to drink until after Brett to the Future. This isn't me putting a leash on Brett Sheridan. I think this is what the show should put in place. They should always focus on starting to drink at the beginning of the show. And I'm not saying that they have to be drunk by the end of it, but I think if you get started at the beginning, it loosens up over time, but they're not starting the show drunk. Because if they're starting the show drunk and then we have 2 hours to go, that can make for a long show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I like your suit and tie.
I'm not like enabling prohibition by any means. I just think that's the best way to handle drinking on the show, and then I'm all for it.
I like your suit and tie approach. I know we're trying to be a little bit business-like. We're sort of trying to take
I'm wearing a tie while recording
Schmoes Know brand to the next level. But man, look, that segment last week, I thought it was hilarious. There are moments that you just can't recreate. And anytime, I'm not saying that you are putting a leash on things. I don't think so at all. I think you're proposing an idea, and that's fine. But there's just something special and magical about the anything that can happen will happen approach to things. And I like that. I mean,
I don't think that goes away, though.
I don't think it necessarily goes away, but you're essentially you're removing the variables, I think, that can come into play of a more structured show or something that can become tiresome. It's a show that's a little bit more unpredictable, and I like that. Some of my favorite shows and podcasts that I listen to have a little bit of an unpredictability factor to it. I mean, obviously it was a huge talking point last week, and
would you appreciate it if I recorded any of our shows drunk?
You have never. In fact, I remember one time when you got really mad at me because I acted like I was drunk before we recorded a podcast. You got super butthurt about it.
I don't remember that.
And I wouldn't care, man. If you want to have fun, have fun. It doesn't matter as long as the final product is. Now, if we walked away and it was just a shit product, then I would have a problem. But look, it was a 2-hour segment.
We never get shit products from Schmoes Know live show.
It was a 2-hour. I said 2-hour segment. It was a 2-hour show. I find it hard to believe that, a segment that's supposed to be fun anyways, that's supposed to be a laugh with somebody, nobody. The guy has a negative rating scale. Is anybody really care that much? Like, going back to my rant. It's it's fine.
I love that you said that us here at After Schmoe are trying to help build this brand up. That was a previous goal that I had. The more time has gone on, I realize how foolish it is.
We just need to supplement what they're doing, entertain the people.
No, it's foolish because
Kristian.
No, that's not why. It's foolish because I went all this time thinking that anything I said about the show would benefit them. There's no way in hell that I've made the slightest difference in terms of fandom.
Nor should anybody. I mean, look, these are
nothing that was ever said on the Schmoeville podcast ever actually hurt Schmoes Know grow as a brand or a company.
Not ultimately. I mean, look, these are shows that we lose sight of this sometimes. We are very blessed to be involved in this. We are very fortunate to be in this world. Look, we're just people that are having, again, a good time talking about a show that we love. We're fans, we come from a fan's perspective, and that's, look, if anybody took anything to heart from what a couple of guys from Kentucky had to say, one of which may or may not still live in his mother's house, don't take it too personal.
I want to take a quick break right now, and I'm going to take this opportunity to insert a clip of a conversation that you and I had on an episode of Sight and Sound. And for those of you who don't know, we sometimes review movies, and we had John Rocha, the champ, come on and review Logan with us.
He was in rare form. He was hot.
And to get all of that, you need to check out the Sight and Sound Logan review for all of it. But I want to insert a clip that's particularly interesting to people that are fans of the Schmoedown and Schmoes Know and all of that. So we're going to take a quick break, and I just want you guys to check this part out. Is there any other way to intro this, or should I just play it?
No. I mean, there's more content like this on Sight and Sound, and we're going to be trying to reach out to more people in the Colliderverse, the Schmoeverse, or whatever you want to call it, and Schmoliderverse. Enjoy.
Check this out. You are now the movie trivia Schmoedown champion.
Yes, I am.
How does that feel?
The luster of it is kind of worn off because people are jumping in already, tweeting like, "You need to defend it to be a real champ," and you're just holding it till Dan gets it, or Clark's on her way, or Riley's gonna get you, or JT was gonna get you. Like, there's no rest, man. As soon as I got maybe 3 days after I won to bask in the glory of it, and then immediately was like everyone coming after me. So that's just how it works, because I remember being the guy coming after Dan. So it never ends. You know what I'm saying?
Is it true that you were crying in the post-interview with MF5?
Not at all. I did not cry.
She said on the live show that you were teary-eyed.
Oh, she just does that for effect. She likes busting my balls, man. She's a cool girl. I like Emma a lot, and so we give each other shit.
You made that comment about the luster wearing off, and I'm a big MMA fan, and I remember when Rashad Evans won the title from Forrest Griffin, whatever UFC that was. He went in the locker room and somebody asked him how it was, and he said, "It really doesn't feel any different. I just feel like everybody's coming for it now." Yep. So, yeah, I mean, that's a mind of a champion, I guess.
Well, that's what I said to everybody. Like I said, and this is the truth. This is no bullshit. Like, I know we're all playing characters and everything like that on the show, but like, for real, people want to win this belt, and so. When everybody who shook my hand, they said, "Congratulations, you know I won it, right? Congratulations, you know I want to get that belt, right?" Like, and no one more so than Bibiani and Riley. Like those two, like Bibiani was stroking my belt in the post-match interview. If you watch that again, like, he's stroking my belt. I almost want to break his hand for doing that. Like it's my belt, son. Have some respect. Let me enjoy the belt. I'm the leader of the stable. Let me enjoy the belt. And so, but he's mad because he thought he was gonna, steamroll everybody, and he got his ass smacked with those scores and soundtracks, and so he doesn't want to accept the loss, and he wants another shot to steamroll everybody, because he came up to Merle and I, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I would have answered all those questions right." And it's like, shut up, get on there and do it. Like, the only guy I really fear, honestly, is McWeeny. I fear McWeeny because that guy, he's like a tank, man. There's nobody touching McWeeny. So that's the thing, though, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, don't get soft, don't get..." All these people come out of the woodwork trying to give me advice. Y'all can kiss my ass, man. I know that I can't get soft. Like, I see Bibiani. I'm there almost every Friday watching those matches. If you don't think I'm motivated to win because I see what these guys do, you're out of your mind. I'm motivated. Every Friday I come out of the Friday going, I need to work harder. I need to learn more. I need to do this or that. And it's because I know those guys are just coming for the belt. You know, Clark Wolf is a great competitor. Riley, I've already played twice, or 3 times if you include 2 years ago. So, like, that's what happens. And so I'm prepared for everybody, and I fear nobody except for McWeeny. But I am also, like, doubling down and focusing and not sitting on my ass just enjoying the belt. That's not how this works.
So, yeah, I found that incredibly interesting, that he fears McWeeny of all of them. But anyway, that's a great time with Rocha that we had.
It was a good time. That's not even the most that I even took away from that conversation in terms of what was interesting. We got to see a side of Rocha that you don't normally get to see. I mean, he was giving us fashion tips off air. He was giving us love life
No, the
advice.
fashion was on air.
No, I know the fashion was on air, but off air he was giving us some love life tips and like work drama. He was trying to hash out some stuff that was going on in his personal life, which was it was a very pull back the curtain thing for the Outlaw.
Yeah. I kind of regret talking about Logan. I wish we could have just continued to talk about Rocha and all the things that he was into right then. It would have been really fascinating.
I feel like we just need life lessons from John Rocha.
Yeah, it'd be incredible.
I've often said he's the best dressed person in Collider.
And he's also the old man, the wise old man in the studio, even though I'm not convinced he's the oldest there at all. But that's what they like to give him shit for. Anyway, we kind of talked about, we talked about the drinking. We talked about Brett to the Future in general. There's not a whole lot we can say about the True Grit review. The next portion of the show, we welcome Josh McDermitt from The Walking Dead. Again, it's not really someone we were familiar with. Did you see the interview, or at least did you see that it was up, that he did with Collider?
I didn't actually get to see the interview. I knew him specifically because he was a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast. But,
of course.
But it was actually great to sort of one of the best things from that entire interview was to sort of get to see Mark and Josh sort of have that comedy store connection. We got the whole comic basketball league, which I thought was absolutely fantastic.
It was great. Theo Vaughn, is that the guy that was trolling him?
Yeah, Theo Vaughn from I believe Real World or Road Rules fame. Did you know that he was on Real World or Road Rules?
Idea.
Yeah, and we sort of got a Matt Nose name drop that he was sort of the ringleader of this basketball league. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
That Josh gave him like $60 for Theo Vaughn to just steal his thunder.
I shed a tear though because Ellis was like, "Oh, Matt Knows from Top 10."
Oh,
I was like, "Oh."
Which may or not be coming back if you follow Rocha's Twitter presence.
Yeah, I don't know. I instantly saw like the hashtag Save Top 10 just came screaming back to me, and I could tell. I guarantee a bunch of people put that in the live chat, but I was asleep for that. So. But yeah, I can't believe that this guy is a Hollywood actor because he looks like someone that lives across the street from me.
Yeah.
Like his appearance is that he's from Kentucky with that mullet and the way that he dressed. Obviously, I know that it's part of the show, but
Josh made it known that Pittsburgh were big fans of mullets. I was glad that he filled us in with that knowledge.
Okay, Makuga, how the fuck did Makuga already know that Greg Nicotero, the showrunner of Walking Dead, is from fucking Pittsburgh?
Look.
What the hell is he doing in his spare time
besides
researching how many people of interest are from Pittsburgh?
I think we're going to get a reveal that Josh Makuga is moonlighting as a Pittsburgh historian. Like he's maybe on the board of the...
Makuga is actually well-read.
I get it. I feel like he is on the board of trustees of the Pittsburgh Preservation Historical Society or something like that. Maybe that gives us some insight into his sort of hot and cold Schmoedown performances, because look, it's hard to keep all the knowledge of Pittsburgh in your head while also keeping the knowledge of movies and film and all of that stuff. It's tough.
That's true. And he's got all that alcohol knowledge in there too that you were so impressed with.
And the alcohol in his system.
Yeah.
Constant.
In his system. I just can't believe. I mean, we've talked about it before on the show about how, he loves to bring up Pittsburgh any chance he gets. But the fact that he knows Greg Nicotero's from there is a little bit excessive. It's such an obscure person.
I don't know. Look, we're from a pretty small town area in Kentucky, but it does remind me, and Pittsburgh's a big city, but it does remind me of how, do you ever have like a relative from around here where they're just like, oh, did you know Johnny Depp lives here? Did you know that?
Yeah, everyone knows that Johnny Depp is from here. Everyone knows George Clooney. My math teacher taught Hal Sparks, who's a comedian.
Yeah.
My middle school math teacher.
Wasn't there like a Hal Sparks flag downtown Frankfurt?
Yeah, because he came and did a set.
What's his name?
Stand up.
What's his name from Star Trek? Lives in my little hometown.
What's his name from Star Trek?
What's his name?
I don't know who.
Why am I forgetting his name? Who's the main character from Star Trek?
Which Star Trek?
The original one. Why am I
William Shatner?
Name. William Shatner. Yeah, he lived. You didn't know he has a house in the town that I'm from? Please don't come kill me.
No.
Okay.
I don't even believe you.
Okay, well, we can talk about that off air.
You've never...
He shops at my Kroger.
No, he doesn't.
Sometimes he does.
Did you catch him in the LaCroix aisle?
No, I didn't.
Also, the Josh McDermitt picture that he took with the fan just so happened to be from Pittsburgh as well. So, I don't know why this town gets brought up more than any other town in existence. Just because Josh McCouga is from there. I mean, the way that's... The way that the universe is aligned there is just amazing.
It would be too easy to just write that off as like some sort of McCouga shtick because it's just not. It's just not. Like it's you couldn't have written it. Like you couldn't have written it any more perfectly. He is literally a person that walks around as Josh McCouga with the world's hairiest forearms, which I picked up sitting in his position on the table this week, and having all of that Pittsburgh knowledge. We talked a ton about Collider content in Schmoes Know over the past year or so. Off air. You're a big fan of McCouga. I love Josh McCouga. I love... Look.
Friend of the show, Josh McCouga.
Friend of the show, Josh McCouga. I love his persistence with TV Talk. The show that he hosts, I believe he brings a different flavor to... That's
a Schnepp word there.
To the Collider world of hosts. Look, anytime you got Josh McCouga hosting a TV show, you want to talk about it could go anywhere. That's literally what happens. Most of the bloopers on the Collider bloopers are
Have you
from
ever
Josh
gone
McCouga.
Down the Josh McCouga rabbit hole of the Josh McCouga show?
Between the Sheets and
what was formerly known as Between the Sheets, but now is the Josh McCouga show.
I feel like I watched something where Kristian and Mark were on a show in tuxedos or something like that one time.
Tuxedos?
Yeah, they were dressed up. I don't remember specifically what it was in regards to.
Maybe they did.
You've had the opportunity to talk to him.
To McCouga?
On the show. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get to very long because I had to up and leave during
that
episode. Yeah, I didn't get to talk to him as much as I wanted to.
Maybe he can come on the new After Schmoe.
Let's hope. I hope we can get everybody, but particularly Brett. And we talked about this on the trial episode because...
Wait, real quick with Brett and McCouga, since we're putting them back to back, how absurd is it that Josh McCouga used to be the one that was known for the drinking and stuff like that, and how now the juxtaposition has shifted to Brett? Like
McCouga's grown up a little bit.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, I mean he's engaged.
He was the Kid Knapsack of this week, but there is only one Kid Knapsack.
I was gonna say. Ken's my favorite. You can't talk shit about him either. You're a massive fan of Ken too.
I'm a huge fan. Can we get a sense of speculation of was Ken there the entire time?
No.
Or was he... Here's what I like to picture.
I don't think he was because he usually is dressed sharply when he's on the live show.
Exactly.
He wasn't.
I loved his attire here.
Oh,
Didn't
yeah,
he walk in wearing a hat?
Yeah, he did. He walked in wearing a hat and a t-shirt, and he had some kind of weapon. I'm still not even sure what that is. It looked like a broom.
It was a kendo stick.
Oh, was it? Is that what that was?
It was a kendo stick.
It looked like a long broom.
That's kind of what a kendo stick is.
Okay. Well,
regardless, I like to
wait, what is it called?
A kendo stick.
A kendo stick?
Yeah, somebody made that joke on air. Were you not paying attention? Actually, I don't remember who made it, but regardless.
That proves I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, no. So, I like to think that Ken was literally at home having a night off, and he was playing Star Wars Battlefront by himself, as he likes to often do, and something happened to where maybe his internet cut out and he checked his tweets or something.
I was gonna say his phone probably blew up.
That's what he said, and he just thought, you know what? I'm just gonna go down there.
I'm gonna drive to Burbank.
I loved his presence on the show as sort of like a.
Oh God, yeah.
He was like even more in the background than Cody and Beardo. Like, sort of dropped in like the RB3 cam every now and then.
No, I don't think he was there that whole time. I like to imagine it the way that you described, but I mean we see that back or behind the scenes camera with Copster and all them, and at that point we could see people in the background like McDermitt at one point. We always see when JTE sitting back there. We saw Jeff Snyder actually walk in. I think Ken would have popped up unless he was working on something in the office. But
the behind the scenes content is always fascinating. It's like, you know, pulling back the curtain to reveal that Oz is just some dude with a microphone. They're kind of just in a room, aren't they? They're kind of just in this big open room.
I was gonna say, have you never seen like I guess until recently you haven't seen the behind the scenes.
I've seen it, but you know, walking around set, I like to know the movie magic. So I'm diving deep into Schmoes Know content, but I just like to have a little bit of fantasy. I don't like to reveal everything.
You want to know something that's really bothering me? I think it's bothering a lot of people in Schmoeville.
What?
That they just started these like bloopers and behind the scene videos, and we just started seeing this new person without any introduction.
Who?
With Grace.
Oh yeah,
the redhead.
Grace and her dog.
Huh?
Grace and her dog.
Yeah, Grace and her dog. That just happened one day, and I still don't think we have clarity on that.
Like, who is she? Why isn't she on camera more?
We actually did. Kristian's going to love this. Me and you actually did a YouTube reaction video of the most recent behind the scenes and bloopers video.
We did.
And it ended up, we filmed the entire thing. I think the video was like 13 minutes long. And we realized that
audio
none of
screwed up. The camera screwed up.
None of it had recorded.
The universe didn't want this video to get out there.
But we talked about, like, how we had no idea who Grace was, but she's just been in these videos.
Yeah.
But
those are some of the best characters, though. Those are the ones we speculate about.
You don't want an explanation to that.
No, I don't. It's like Bigfoot or something.
Let's close on
a very attractive Bigfoot.
I was gonna say, wow, that's not the best comparison, but
very attractive Bigfoot with a dog, a little dog.
Let's close up on Josh McDermitt, even though that's not really what we were talking about just then. I thought he was a great guest, and I love the fact that. I'm glad that I didn't have to hear a bunch about The Walking Dead, because I figured I was just going to have to skip that segment, because not only do I not like the show, but just in case if I do go back and watch it, I didn't want spoilers.
Oh, they spoiled the hell out of it.
More spoilers than I already have.
They spoiled the hell out of it. I feel like by now that's just an acceptable thing.
To spoil The Walking Dead?
It's just...
Well, it shouldn't be, and I won't stand for it.
We know. Look, I think it's just one of those things where you sort of accept that it's just a part of that community. And yeah, I thought he did a great job as a guest, both talking specifically about the show that he was sort of representing, but giving you the behind the scenes sort of stuff with Mark and the stand-up comedy days as well.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk about the I think it's what everyone thinks is the headlining topic. This sort of happened in the middle of the show, the meat of the show, right before their Beauty and the Beast preview. They opened it up to a quick phone call, and it was Brian Davids on the other line. And this turned into what I think is probably going to be one of the biggest moments of 2017, already mid-March. And you know, Brian came on and made his announcement and sort of did his version of what we did at the top of this show, talking about how he's joining the Schmoedown Rundown.
And we were as taken back by it as Mark, because we were also under the impression that he was getting his own show.
Yeah.
Much like Mark was. And it's cool that he's sort of joining Aaron on the Schmoedown Rundown.
I think Makuga said it best, though. I don't know why he did that. Maybe we'll get some clarification one day.
Yeah, I was I was shocked that he wasn't going to end up taking the reins on his own show, but that's cool. That's cool nonetheless.
Okay, let's get to the part with Brett, because people are going nuts. I mean, even right before we hit record, I mean, people were still talking about it in the Facebook group. So this is part of why I don't want our show to be attacking, because I don't want things to get misconstrued, because there is a line. There is a line where you can poke fun, you can tease, and you can have constructive criticism, but at the same time you have you have instances that just can go too far, and you have something that, brings in Brett's mom and all that kind of stuff. That's when it gets muddy.
And that's what we talked about, too. That's what we talked about off air when we were planning the show and figuring out how we wanted to approach this. Look, we know that there's content out there that does dwell on drama and creating controversy and stuff like that. And that's fine. There's a place for that. There's a place for that in the Schmoedown. And that's great. That does drive ratings to a certain extent. But we want you to come to this show for us. Now, this isn't saying anything about anybody else, but we want you to come to this show because you enjoy Ryan Snelling and Jaye Williams and the After Schmoe. We want to make you guys laugh. We want to make you guys entertained.
We want to make you guys cry.
Absolutely. That's why you have candles lit right now. We don't want to just focus on the drama all the time. It's something we have to address because it was a big part of the show. But,
yeah, and it's not even that. It's just because it gets murky, and I'm just not interested in that really.
Yeah,
I just want it to be cut and dry.
Everybody has their opinion on it already. We're not going to sway anybody's opinion on how they already feel.
Yeah. Because this has been something that I've been paying attention to, and it's sort of consumed my entire day.
Same.
Since we got the tweets and the comments posted in the Facebook page and everything, that there's nothing that you and I can contribute to this conversation because it's already become a huge thing, more than most things that happen on, some said podcast or the live show. And there's just not any more to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy event, the way that it happened. Yeah. I mean, it was completely, like I said, the unpredictability factor. I love it. When they opened up the show to taking phone calls, that's sort of the thing that you factor in. It's live, it's unpredictable, and that's great. The way that Brett reacted, I thought was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
I mean, it
was hilarious because I had no idea what he was saying. When they turned down his mic,
I had no idea he had that in him. Because he's always the fun-loving sort of teddy bear Brett, But he unleashed the Schmoe Stopper, and he absolutely lost his mind. Yeah. And regardless of what you think about it, right, wrong, indifferent, I thought it was fucking hilarious.
It was.
And everybody's reaction to it was priceless.
Yes.
I mean, whether it was Riley sitting beside him or cutting back to, or Mark, of all people, Mark trying to sort of wrangle in everybody to sort of lasso the cattle. And then you've got, you got
Cobster and his trolling comments.
Doing his best impression of Collie McCulkin from Home Alone with his hands over his face. I don't know how many Pacificos deep he was at that point.
4. Just for clarity. He said 4. To clarify.
Yeah.
Makuga had a couple trolling comments. I mean, it was really funny. The only person I wish was really there at that point was Ken.
I'm on your page. Who?
Ken.
Oh, no. I was going to say Kristian. I would have loved to have... Because Kristian is typically the one that unleashes the beast within.
I feel like I already know what Kristian's attitude would be towards that if he had that material at his disposal right then and there. But Ken...
Just rub your head and take a nap. That's what he would have said. Brian, just rub your head and take a nap.
No, Kristian would have a shit-eating grin. He'd be laughing his ass off, and he would push it even further.
I agree. He's the puppet master.
But Ken... I don't know how Ken would handle it. Ken would either contribute to the trolling comments or he would try to wrangle somebody. I just think I really wish Ken was there.
There's two types of people in this world that you don't want to mess with, that you do not want to poke. One, you never want to go up against a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
And 2, you never want to go up against a writer, the people that sometimes develop the content. And yeah, Ken would have been an interesting one to sort of have a take on that entire thing.
Do you think Emma and Joelle have any idea who Brian Davids is? I really don't think funny? That they do.
Again, talking back, well, if you look in the timestamp of the episode, the way it was labeled was, "Who is Brian Davids?" ?
Yes, and there's nothing more humbling than that, because it's so easy for me to get consumed in the work that I do for this podcast and the fact that I have the privilege of hearing my name read out on the live show. it's so funny when I read those comments of people that have no idea after putting out a year's worth of episodes who I am, which is totally fine. It's totally fine. I have, whenever those comments pop up, I have the opportunity to just laugh at myself, and it's really, really humbling because people don't care, and that's absolutely fine.
Can I put a silver lining and a bow on top of the whole thing?
Please do, because I'm depressed.
Imagine the people, because there's a lot of people out there, because look, the Schmoes have a lot of viewers. I mean, tens, or I don't even know what their average viewer count per episode is. I don't really pay attention to the numbers.
For the live show?
Yeah.
I can take a quick
regardless, it doesn't even matter. There's a lot of people that don't know anything about this additional content that you can dive deep in the Schmoes Know universe. They don't
10% of the Schmoes Know subscribers subscribe to SK Plus or Schmo Plus.
So there's a lot of people that aren't privy to this information that probably had no idea who Brian was. They had no idea what After Schmoe was beyond maybe a name drop here or there. They just had no context. How great, to a certain extent, how great of a thing was it to just say, if you want to be a part of the inside jokes, all of them, you have got to pay attention to some of this additional content. Now, again, I'm not supporting the drama. I'm not supporting all of that. Again, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just it's interesting to think about the fact that people need to maybe pay attention to the greater landscape of this content in order to laugh along with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's a great sales pitch.
It's well said. And we need to get more subscribers on the Schmo Plus channel. Just saying. Okay, I want to talk about some stuff around RB3 real quick. RB3, the new RB3 cam, him in front of that curtain was great. The modeling jokes were hilarious. Did you happen to catch the video? Their Beauty and the Beast parody, their sketch that they did.
I did. In fact, I tweeted at RB3, and we had a nice little conversation about it. I was a huge fan of his Yeezy Season 3 sweater.
Wait, say that again?
I was a huge fan of his Yeezy Season 3 sweater that he was wearing.
I thought I heard you say Aziz, like I'm sorry. And
maybe I speak too fast for you. His Yeezy, as in Kanye West, Season 3 sweater. And for those of you who are just completely oblivious to the rest of pop culture, Kanye West took it upon himself to create a fashion line that is so diverse in what decade it can represent. It could be a post-apocalyptic futuristic look. It could be whatever time Beauty and the Beast takes place in. Or it could be some sort of like weird, I don't know, Tatooine Star Wars universe, and we shared
Tatooine Star Wars
whatever
universe.
It is. We shared a nice moment with one another in that, and the only other person who would have gotten that reference would probably be Finstock.
I just wanted to say that I really appreciate that content.
It was great.
I've been wanting for that type of sketch to be implemented. I know it kind of happened with Awesome-tacular, but I wanted to see it on one of these main channels.
Well, Brett did one a while back. It wasn't over the holidays.
The Home Alone one, yeah, absolutely. And I loved what RB3 said in the Schmoeville Facebook group. He had a bit of a rant that he basically, paraphrasing, was saying, you guys, crave and are hungry for more content, blah, blah, blah. And then the second we try to do something different, then you guys have all kinds of complaints. And I just want people to think about that for a second. Like, do you really not... Are you not excited about the fact that they are trying to do additional content? Are you not entertained? Yeah. I mean...
Sorry.
Now I'm derailed. Hold on.
Are you not entertained by the original content, or do you just want to nitpick just to nitpick?
Yeah, I just want them to appreciate the Schmoes.
I know. Well, look, it could be another instance of just a select few group of people that they're focusing on. But, I mean, it's great content. I laughed really hard. I don't even know who some of these people are in these videos.
I have no idea who those people are.
And I think they're providing great humor and great content.
What did you think about Chris Hartwell's video essay on King Kong?
We talked about
Let's get this guy on After Schmoe.
Oh, we talked about it on our trial episode that people haven't heard. And when he sold the idea, I was in. I love these.
No, I'm talking about the actual video.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his presentation on last week's live show.
I'm saying that from the pitch, I was sold on watching this content. I watched it, an incredibly well-written piece, an incredibly well put together, well-edited piece. These are the sort of deep dives that I think would really enhance the channel, a new perspective, so to speak, on the content that we already get.
Yes. And I love hearing people defend movies that I don't necessarily care about because I find it fascinating. And I have an open mind, unlike some people.
And he's not necessarily stating, like, you guys are wrong, this was a great movie. He's sort of just presenting the argument. It's
very, very professional, very classy. It's very well done. So, yeah, let's get him on After Schmoe. Or Sight and Sound.
I'd love to.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we're going to hit you up, Chris Hartwell. But anyway, yes, please don't feel discouraged about the additional content because us here at After Schmoe, we're going to love whatever you do. I don't know. How much else do you have to say? I mean, they previewed Beauty and the Beast. There's not really anything that we can say about them talking about movies. Jeff Snyder came in. I wish he was on there a little bit more. If they could have done it, maybe another time, I guess, because he was there to pretty much talk about the Schmoedown and smack talk Makuga, which is really great. Makuga had a great line comparing Finstock to a defunct MySpace page, which was one of my favorite quotes of the night. Then Ken came in. We talked a little bit about that too. Is there anything else before we go to our history lesson here? I
appreciated how the night was sort of wrapped up. It was a great episode of the Schmoes Know live show. It sort of wrapped up with Cobster sort of cheering everybody on to continue drinking. Like he even passed the torch onto RB3 to sort of read off the award winners for that really dope projector thing. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And I like that sort of camaraderie at the end of him wanting to continue the fun, continue the party on with all of their Pacifico, which I was jealous. I ended up watching this entire episode at work, and I really wanted a beer at work. But
can we go get Pacifico this weekend?
100%. We can get one while we listen to Drake's More Life.
Listen to Drake's More Life and then record Sight and Sound Weekly while drunk on Pacifico.
Absolutely. Our debut on the SK channel will be us drinking Pacifico along with the Schmoes. Look, that's it for the live show, I believe.
I think so.
Do you want a history lesson, or do we need to get into the things that we learned? What did we learn on this episode?
We'll end the show on that. And go ahead and set up the clip that we're going to hear.
So yeah, basically, like I said, I'm deep diving into some of the past Schmoes content. I'm currently in the Toad Hop days. One of my favorite things to do on the show is sort of see the cast of characters that we know now pop up throughout the years. But one of my other favorite things is to sort of see some of the guests that they bring on. I actually listened to one recently. It was their debut episode at 2 hours. They had Jeremy Johns in studio. They interviewed Samwise Gamgee himself.
Sean
Astin.
Did you say Samwise Gamgee because you forgot his actual name?
I have a terrible problem with people's names.
See, I love how we went from a co-host that was so anal about pronouncing names to someone who doesn't remember any name ever.
I forgot William Shatner's name earlier in the episode. It's just a thing that happens, but
it's fine.
So I found an incredible episode where they're basically leading up to the release of The Dark Knight Returns.
The
Dark Knight Rises. I've been doing this for a while right now. They basically had this entire episode where they were kind of reacting to the Avengers as well. And Kristian decided to have Mark read a news story about John Travolta and do an impression of himself as Christian Bale's Batman, reading alongside Morgan Freeman. Let's listen to it, and I'll talk about who...
Did you set up who? Or are you going to talk about that
I'll talk about that afterwards. Yeah, okay. Let's listen to this ridiculous and a little bit crude news story.
Now, one of the things there we talked about that The Dark Knight is coming out. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard about this John Travolta thing that's going on. these allegations and all this stuff that's happening.
It's untrue. It's not true.
Listen,
all 10 of them are lying.
I read this thing yesterday, and
Isn't there proof that he was in New York that day, though? Like there was photos of him and a receipt from a hotel, the Hudson Hotel in New York?
Maybe, don't buy it.
I don't know.
Now, I'm going to have to, because I can't pull this thing up for some reason on this computer, so I'm going to have to go and maybe switch with Catherine to do this.
Sure.
What we're going to do is, The Dark Knight is coming out, and I think it would be very funny. Like, Mr. Lockhart does probably the best Morgan Freeman you'll ever hear. I would love to see if Frost and Dark Knight had to talk about John Travolta as the next villain in Batman, and we had to read this report. This is going to be a scene from the if Nolan decides to do a new Batman, but we got to switch to Mark.
Well, the scene is set, so we're going to have Morgan Freeman interact with Christian Bale. This may be the new 6 minutes.
In a world where Christian Bale and Freddie Lockhart take on other personas.
This is not high concept at all.
Here we go. What is it, Frost?
General allegations.
What are we reading here? What's going on?
It seems there's been some trouble. Seems that somebody's been seeking illicit hand jobs where he shouldn't have been.
What's the report say?
Let's go ahead and take a look. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and upon such information and belief states that January 16th, 2012, he was working at the Beverly Hills, California area as a personal massage therapist with a portable table and the standard items that would normally be used for professional massage.
Unbelievable.
Plaintiff worked through a series of professional-themed ads and locally accessed websites and had received numerous clients for many of years without serious incident or problem.
Where are we getting with this?
Plaintiff is informed and believes that upon such information and belief states that unidentified male called plaintiff's cell phone from a blocked number claiming to represent a celebrity client who demanded full confidentiality and would not allow Otto to go to Costco and get one for cheaper. The unidentified male told the plaintiff...
Hand jobs at Costco?
Hand jobs and blow jobs. Get them while they're hot. The unidentified male told plaintiff to go to a specific street, and that private car would pick him up. Plaintiff is informed and believes upon such information and believes states to his amazement. Defendant finds himself picked plaintiff up in a black Lexus SUV. Defendant was wearing dark glasses, jeans, and a very loose-fitting athletic shirt. What is that word? That's a big
chronograph.
Okay, thank you. Wait, do you need a lozenge? There were Trojan condoms in the console of the vehicle. There's also appeared to be 2 or 3 wrappers from chocolate cake packages on the floor of the SUV.
Chocolate cake?
Ho-hos or ding-dongs, perhaps.
Call Gordon.
Plaintiff is informed and believes that upon such information and belief states that the defendant parked the Lexus on the side street of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Page 2. And we went off to the bungalows on the right-hand side if you're facing the front of the hotel. The door was unlocked. And there was an overweight black man preparing hamburgers.
Hamburgers?
Mm-hmm. A black man preparing hamburgers. They had bacon on them, of course.
Where is he?
Who meekly said, "Hey," plaintiff and defendant, and no formal introductions were made. The black man was preparing hamburgers from watching his skill and dexterity.
This
in
is
food
getting Catherine
preparation.
and I so hot, by the way.
It seemed that he was some
Chocolate
sort of
cake,
professional
sweetheart.
chef.
So wait a minute. There was a professional chef as he was giving massages?
There was a chef and there was massages. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and upon such information and belief states that the defendant shamelessly stripped naked in front of the plaintiff, and chef was gazing at the plaintiff as he appeared to be semi-erect.
Hot dogs.
He's
Semi-erect.
Semi-erect.
Chub.
Plaintiff asked defendant to lie face down and drape himself with a towel. Defendant started muttering to himself something along the lines that, "He wants me to get on the table. Can you believe that? He wants me to get on the table." Plaintiff is informed and believes that upon such information and belief states that defendant was watching us during the massage. For the last hour, the massage was without incident, other than he kept purposely sliding the towel down that covered his buttocks to reveal half of the gluteus area.
Whoops!
Plaintiff kept sliding the towel back up and reminding defendant the state law requires that a massage client be fully draped during the massage.
Put your cock away.
Put it away. This back and forth activity of the defendant sliding down and the plaintiff with a boner would slide it up occurred over 10 times for the first 4 hours. This is getting ludicrous. Plaintiff is informed and believes that upon such information, belief states that right before the hour ended, defendant chronograph. God damn it, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses now. Defendant chronograph was started to chime and the black of the chef covered the burgers.
We gotta move on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Mr. Wayne, they're flashing the bat signal in town.
Just read this part right here.
Well, now, hold on. Plaintiff is informed and believes that upon such information and belief states that the defendant then sat upon the table and asked the plaintiff to switch places and do a reverse massage. Plaintiff told the defendant that a masseuse lying on the table was unlawful and inappropriate. The defendant said, "Come on, dude, I'll jerk you off."
We gotta get him.
Talking about correcting people, you want to know the first thing I caught while listening to that clip?
What's that?
He calls Lucius Fox Frost.
Yeah, I was confused by that. I didn't know if he was talking about like Frost and Nixon style interviews. I was very confused by that whole thing. But regardless, look, that was Freddie Lockhart doing an absolutely incredible impression of Lucius Fox there. And the thing about this whole thing that I took away from the Morgan Freeman thing, we know Kristian likes to do his impressions. We're very aware of that now.
We get it, Kristian. You're good at them.
And the thing that I'm taking away from these older podcasts is that everything was much more loose. Like, it definitely seemed like a radio show sort of podcast vibe. If you fast forward to just a little bit ago when Kristian was still on the show before they got the couch back and everything, it was a little bit more straight-laced, I think. You know, more recently under the Collider banner for a little while. And they're sort of bringing that back. And I think it's too easy to say that they're bringing it back to that mentality of those older days. I think that they are developing a brand new identity.
It's just its own thing. It doesn't feel like a radio show in the way that those did. It
feels
just
like
feels
a party almost.
I have no idea what it feels like other than it's just this unique new take on a show, really.
And I think leading up to, you know, the announcement of the headsets and the phone calls and the couch, that was maybe a lot of people were thinking that it was just going back to that. Maybe that's how it was built.
I was skeptical of all those decisions, and I was put in my place very
skeptical.
quickly. I know, that's who I am. I'm the skeptical one.
Snelling.
You're the optimist.
I am. That's Kristian said that. He labeled us. Don't label me. Anyways, the whole idea of it as it was billed was that sort of going back to the old identity. But I think it's great, and I think it's something we should celebrate, that they have cultivated this brand new sort of approach to doing it. And I love it. I don't know how you feel about the current state of the show, but I'm really enjoying it.
Good enough to do an after show for it.
Ever since they've went this way, ever since Mark has taken over hosting, they've done something really, really special, and I haven't been let down by a single show yet. I'm excited for the day that Daddy Harloff returns, so that we can get his vibe. I have two mythological calendars I want to put up. One is the day that Michael Rappaport comes on the Schmoes Know live show. I want that to happen.
Yeah, but he was just dissing on my boy Dan Le Batard.
I could care less because Dan Le Batard doesn't believe in MMA like it's Santa Claus. Anyways, I also want a calendar counting down the days until Daddy Harloff comes back.
Yeah. Maybe we can get him to come back. Like, what if I, like, made a stipulation, like, there's no way I will continue After Schmoe unless you come back. Would he do it?
He'd probably have me host it and give you your own show.
To be fair, there's no way I could come up with a Ryan Snelling show.
So, can I get an over-under 70%? Is it more likely that Kristian comes on this show before he comes back
it
to
depends.
the live show?
I think the only way he would come on this show is if the ratings plummet. Because that's what he did last time, and he never said those words to me, but I know that's why. It's because I was without a co-host.
After the Drake meme flop, he's going to have to come back on here. Guys, what were you thinking?
The Drake memes were.
I don't even know who Drake is. I only know who Childish Gambino is because he's in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what you said didn't make sense, but I follow. He doesn't know who Donald Glover is.
Right.
Until he was cast in Han Solo.
Yeah.
He's also not a fan of TV.
We know that.
No,
I started that.
No, I'm gonna stop picking on Kristian, but we just a fun fact: the two clips that we played in this episode, we put into our trial episode when we pitched what we were going to be doing, and Kristian loved that clip, the Batman clip. He's like, it was so good for me to go back to that moment.
Can I preview next week's?
Yeah.
There was a time when maybe Kristian's fandom of Star Wars died down a little bit just because there wasn't as much Star Wars stuff. At one point in time, Kristian was a huge Hunger Games fan. And so much so.
He also hated Shia LaBeouf.
He did. He was such a big Hunger Games fan that it came up so frequently on the podcast. And Mark Ellis couldn't care less. And
Ellis compared, I'll never forget this, he compared Mockingjay Part 2 to Aliens on their review, and it blew my mind. It's so much that I had to address it when I met him in person because it was ridiculous.
What a weird thing to compare. But regardless, that's pretty much it, right? I mean, you got anything you need to plug before we get the hell out of here?
We're going to do a segment every week. What did we learn? What did we learn?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
With each other. What did we learn from the live show? That's what the segment's called. What did we learn? For those of you who don't know, particularly Mark Ellis, bourbon is actually the term for whiskey from Kentucky.
That's true.
And it's as simple as that. Bourbon is Kentucky whiskey. That's it. That's the only thing bourbon is. And I think that's actually pretty interesting that Kentucky has its own name for whiskey.
That's why Jack Daniel's is a Tennessee whiskey and not a Tennessee bourbon. Actually, there's probably more technical things than that
exactly.
I'm sure Makuga's going to correct me on.
And because Ellis isn't going to be listening to this episode, I will actually have to text him this tidbit, but that's okay because I love you. The second thing, Mark Ellis actually low-key referenced the latest Metallica album title.
He did. I heard it in the background.
Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
He also allegedly crowd surfed at a Metallica concert
with Drew
while
Brees.
meeting Drew Brees.
So I think Cobster was the only person who caught that reference because I heard him clapping in the background. But anyway.
Look, I've extended the offer to Cobster to come on to Sight and Sound Music to discuss his music taste. I loved his inclusion of The Job for a Cowboy.
Yeah, they didn't touch on that either.
Song.
I mean, they talked about it, but they didn't get to who it actually was.
I haven't heard Job for a Cowboy in years.
Yeah.
We come from a metal music background, so to speak, or hard rock music background.
Hard rock.
That's like the most normal term I could use.
That makes it sound like it's like butt rock.
I was about to say that you were in a Nickelback cover band.
That's complete fabrication.
Regardless, that was a neat little touch, and I caught that, and he was very proud of himself, and I appreciate it very much. Can I tell you one thing that I learned that I was not privy to before this episode?
I love it.
This particular episode focused on Josh Makuga at a particular angle, and it could have been the lighting in the studio, and I touched on it earlier, that this man has Sasquatch arms. He just has a fucking forest growing on his arms, the hairiest forearms, and I love it. I love me a manly man. I love me some Hugh Jackman. I don't know why those two go together necessarily. Other than
Hugh Jackman is a manly man. Of course that goes together.
He is. But
have you seen Eddie the Eagle? Terrific.
There is a reason why Josh Makuga, you never see him wearing a long sleeve shirt, a flannel. I could be corrected by that. That's fine. But he is just showing off them beautiful Popeye forearms. May the Lord never bless you with a tattoo on your lower arm region.
He needs the anchor tattoo to complete it.
Don't touch them. Leave those babies bare. That is just a beautiful set of hairy forearms.
By the way, Makuga wears blazers all the time, so he definitely wears long sleeves.
That's right.
But anyway,
and those silly pants.
Yeah, the silly suits rather.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's episode 5 of After Schmoe in the books, our first episode together. I just really hope people appreciate what we're trying to do here. Even for my taste, this might have been, you're going to roll your eyes, this might have even been too loose. You're just going to take a hit of vape and not comment on what I said.
I'm the guy that just likes to look, people are going to get a taste of Sight and Sound Weekly.
That too, yeah.
And we just like to have a good time. Just a couple guys hanging out, doing guy shit.
We're just two guys talking about schmoes, and we hope that you appreciate the show. Please continue the conversation in the YouTube comment section. Also, feel free to tweet at us, talk to us in the Facebook group as well. We'll be hanging out in there. I definitely missed you guys. So it's I'm very glad to be back, and thank you to Mark and Kristian and everyone else for the warm welcome. I missed you guys too. You guys can find Jay and I. We talked about it already. You can find us on Sight and Sound. Just search it anywhere podcasts are found. You can find our weekly episodes that we put out every So Sight and Sound Weekly goes up on Mondays for us, but it's going to appear on the Schmoe Plus channel on Wednesdays based on how the other shows are released, because Wangers have claimed Monday, Tuesdays, Don't Be a Beardo. We're going to proudly take Wednesday, the YouTube version of it. So if you want to get a taste of that, it'll be there for you. But everything else that we do, our movie reviews, TV recaps, all that stuff, will be on the iTunes feed. So please check that out. Jay and I also host a Legion after show called Let's Talk Legion. You can find that wherever podcasts are found, and that's also on the Sight and Sound YouTube channel, which we would love for you to subscribe to as well. I'm out of breath. I'm on Twitter at WhatUpSnell.
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E. You can also catch my music show on Sight and Sound every single Friday. I do it solo. It's pretty fun. It's cool. Come and hang out with me.
We will be back next Friday. Thank you so much.